Hi everyone, welcome to the Yahn Planetarium at Penn State Behrend. My name is Jim Gavio. We hope sometime soon you can join us in person, but for now, I'd like to give you an update on what's going on in the night sky for the month of June. So we will talk about a couple eclipses first. There are a couple of eclipses that will be happening during the month of June, so if you hear about those, that's good, but I just want you to know that in Erie, they will not be visible. They're not visible in our part of the world. But the reason I mention this is because we do get a number of phone calls at the planetarium asking us about these eclipses when they do happen. And 50% of the time, they're just not occurring in Erie. So we'll get our chance. All right, about the summer solstice. Of course, this is June. We will be hitting the first day of summer later in the month. Normally it's around June 21st, but this year it will be June 20th. Remember, this is a leap year. So June 20th, the sun will be highest in our sky. And by the way, here in Erie, that time when the sun is the highest, we normally think it's around lunchtime, and that's close, but it is about 1:20 in the afternoon. And that's because of where we are in our time zone. And also, don't forget, we turned our clocks ahead an hour in the spring. So things get thrown off a little bit. All right. So if we lived at 23.5 degrees north latitude, the sun would be directly above our heads about 1 or so in the afternoon. But that's not the case because Erie's latitude is about 42 degrees north. And so it will be very high in the sky, but here in Erie, it doesn't ever get directly above our heads. All right, so the summer solstice. So hopefully we'll have a nice summer. It'll be nice and summer-like for you to enjoy, so we get a lot of time outside. So keep looking up at that. And let's talk about some stars. So what I'm going to do is put up a sky for us here, and you can see we have our blue sky, our green grass, and we're looking west at about 8:30 p.m. The sun is about to go down. If you're watching this earlier in the month of June, the sun will be setting, let's say about 10 minutes to 9. As we get closer to the solstice, it will be close to right around 9 o'clock. So let's move ahead to about 9 o'clock as the sun goes down. But let's keep going because, it stays light for a while. But I guess one thing we should point out before we go too far is, I'm sure you've seen it here, you can see it, the planet Mercury. Early in the month, it will be a little bit further away from the sun here. So it'll be higher in the sky and easier to see. But as we go through the month, it will get closer and closer to sunset and will be very difficult to see. All right, let's move ahead again. And what I like to do is move ahead to about an hour after sunset. So here we are at 10 o'clock, and we're able to start seeing a few stars here, some of the brighter ones. We'll notice these two, Castor and Pollux. Those are the two heads of the Gemini twins. All right, let's move north because we always want to talk about the North Star, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper. And right now at about 10 o'clock, here we can see some of the stars of the Big Dipper upside down right here. The Big Dipper we have 3 stars in the handle and then 4 stars in the cup or the bowl right here. It's kind of hard to see some of those, but they are there. But that is the position of the Big Dipper at about 10 o'clock, so about an hour after sunset. All right. Let's go ahead even further because it'll get darker and we'll be able to see more of what we need to see here. All right, so let's see. I'm going to slide this around a little bit. So we're looking north. Here we have the Big Dipper with the 3 stars in the handle, 4 stars in the cup. Take the 2 stars on the end of the cup of the Big Dipper and watch what happens. We can connect those together, draw a straight line across the sky, and we run into, what is that? That's Polaris. That's our North Star. All right, and that is in the Little Dipper. And it's a little more difficult here to see. So we don't see all the stars in the Little Dipper until it gets a little bit darker. So let's go even later at night. Let's go to 11 o'clock. That does it. So we can see 3 stars in the handle, 4 stars in the cup. And something I want to point out down here is we have Cassiopeia, the W-shaped constellation. So this is the queen on her throne. Let me show you what the queen looks like. There she is, kind of laying sideways there. All right. Hopefully you can see the W. It is pretty bright, but the bad news is we're down low here in the sky. And so anytime we're down lower in the sky, we have the potential for light pollution from the city lights, twilight even over more towards the west once the sun goes down. So it kind of interferes a little bit. All right, let's move all the way to the southern sky. And what we have in the south, let's go even later though. We're going to go ahead to midnight. And at midnight, we have one of my favorite constellations, Scorpius the Scorpion, right here. Can you see it? Let me show you a picture that'll make it a little bit easier. There's the Scorpion. Here's his tail, where his stinger is. We have his tail, his body, his heart. That red star Antares is his heart, and then his claws and his legs up here. Okay, but what you would actually see would be this in the night sky. And for sure, the easiest thing to see would be Antares, that reddish colored star. Some people say it's the heart of the Scorpion. All right, so let's move a little more to the southeast and go a little bit earlier into the morning, about 2 a.m. Now, ignore Pluto and Neptune here because you're not going to see those with your eyes. You need telescopes for those. But we have Jupiter, Saturn. For some reason, Jupiter's not being seen here, but that big dot, that's Jupiter. Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. Those are the ones I want to point out. Let's go in a little closer here. So those three planets, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, will be very bright. You can look for those. As we get later into the night, or earlier into the morning, I should say, Mars will get even higher and easier to see. All right, so if you have a telescope, you might want to try checking those out. All right, something to mention about Mars. We're getting closer to Mars. It's getting brighter. And it's getting closer to us this summer, which is a good thing because anytime that happens, at least lately, we've been sending a mission to Mars. So we do have another rover that will be going to Mars this summer, and you'll hear more about that. I'm sure we will be talking about that here at the planetarium. All right, let's look high above. What I want to point out, so high above your head, you'll see this very bright star, Vega, and another one here, Deneb, and another one here, Altair. So those stars make a triangle. You can see a triangle here, and that is known as the summer triangle. So I want you to look out for those. They should be very easy to see. A lot of these other stars that we're seeing in here will not be seen by a lot of people just because of all the light pollution from the cities, but you should have no problem seeing Vega, Deneb, and Altair, the summer triangle. Definitely look for that. Okay, so you have the summer triangle, you have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, so plenty to look for. They are coming up a little bit later in the evening now, of course, but they'll be up earlier as we go through summer. Keep that in mind. All right, let's move ahead. Early into the morning, we have an early sunrise. Now this is set for June 15th. You know, this is the morning of the 16th. So again, remember that I set this for the middle of the month. So if you're going out earlier, things will be slightly different. You go out a little bit later, it'll be slightly different than what you see right now. But to kind of meet everybody in the middle, we went for the middle of the month. All right, here's the moon. The moon moves quite a bit from day to day, so it won't be exactly in the spot, of course, unless it is the morning of June 16th. Here we have Venus coming up just before the sun. This is 5 in the morning. It's already starting to get light. I'm sure you've noticed that. And then we have sunrise. So there we are. That takes us through a whole night and some of the important things that we can look for in our night sky. I hope you enjoyed that. So please keep looking up. And thank you for joining us today at the Yahn Planetarium.